Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This is a YA contemporary story that follows Eliza, and she is a social outcast at her high school. She doesn't have any friends, and she's very frequently bullied, but actually online she is an anonymous webcomic creator who is the most famous webcomic creator in all of the internet. Her webcomic is crazy popular, it has a giant fandom, and she is anonymous and no one knows who she is. Then one day, her most famous fanfiction writer from her fandom ends up transferring to her school, and they end up forming a friendship before they realize who the other one is, and everything kind of takes off from there. So this is a story that I was not expecting to pick up. I had not heard anything about it, I was not going to buy it, and then I got it in the May Owl Crate box, and I read the synopsis and I was like, this sounds interesting, this sounds like something that could be right up my alley. And I then read this in basically one sitting, in one day. Typically speaking, I don't talk about world building within contemporary stories, and this isn't really necessarily a world building thing, but there is this whole premise of the webcomic that I want to kind of touch on. So webcomic and fandom is kind of like the world within that this like sits in, and I loved this so much. That's why I picked it up, because it was like a fandom based story. I like Fangirl as a YA contemporary, but this just tops that so much because it feels like this is a genuine love letter to fandom. It feels so genuine. I know that this author is a part of fandom because of the way that she writes about it. Where I feel like Rainbow Rowell used fandom as like a phenomenon that she kind of put her characters in. This feels so real and is so cool, and the things that are talked about are just like so spot on. And the way that the fandom like works and kind of how it's like this like living thing in a way is just so true within this, and I really enjoyed it. You also get, obviously, snippets of her comic within here, and the art and stuff, which is really awesome, and I loved that element. Next, when we talk about the characters, I will say that this book does deal with mental health, so there are some trigger warnings for, like, suicide, suicidality, and stuff like that within these characters. Anxiety. Eliza is a very anxious character from the get-go. She has this whole online life, she doesn't have a lot of friends, she has some social anxiety going on, but also just generalized anxiety. There's a lot of things going on, but also some of her friends are dealing with similar things. The love interest also has a very tragic past and is dealing with something where he doesn't like to talk out loud. They end up actually forming some of their friendship just through him writing her like notes and stuff, because he doesn't like even hearing his own voice. Like, there's a lot of mental health things that are talked about that I feel were very genuine, were things that people really do struggle with. And then even how the fandom can affect your mental health, how the, you know, how fans can kind of claim those characters as their own, and kind of you feel this expectation, and Eliza feels all this guilt with needing to write, and it becomes like not even quite her story anymore. There's all these things going on with fandom and stuff that I really appreciated. So I really liked the characters in here, I really felt for them, I really liked the little relationship that was forming in this. Everything just felt so genuine in the way that a lot of other books that deal with fandom and like online phenomenon do not, because those authors aren't in it, and you can tell that this author is in it. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the plot. Again, I read this in one sitting. That says enough about it. It was very hard to put down. I was just really engrossed with everything that was going on. I will say maybe avoid the synopsis, because it's one of those dumb synopsises that kind of spoils things that happen later on in the book. But overall, I read the synopsis beforehand and I was fine, and it didn't like ruin the story for me in any way, but it was kind of one of those things that I had my eye out for then when I really shouldn't have had my eye out for it. So I really enjoyed this. Also, one of the fandoms that Eliza is a part of, called The Children of Hypnosis, like a book series, is actually a book series that the author posts on Tumblr and Wattpad, which is so cool. So if you want to get into that, because that sounds like a cool premise when you hear about in this book. So again, it's not this character's like zine, it's a fandom that she was a part of when she was younger, and it's on Tumblr and Wattpad. So it's just a love letter to fandom, and it's so fun and so great and touches on so many different things, and it's beyond just fandom. Like I said, it's mental health and like family and friends and what online friends mean to people and how meaningful they are and all that stuff. So I highly enjoyed this one, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because there's one tiny thing with the mental health piece that I feel like was a little too like rushed over, glossed over, a little too convenient, but overall, I loved this. 4.5 out of 5 stars. So comment down below, let me know what you thought of Eliza and Her Monsters. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!